Hi there, everybody. Welcome into the Kumo Theater. Glad to have you here today. We have Western Digital, and I'm going to say this correctly because this is a Belgian name. I think I can do it. We are here today with Stefan Verwet.
Yes, good job.
Yes, there you go. So come on in and join us. Stefan, what are you going to be talking about today?
Today I'm going to talk about how Western Digital can help you in your hybrid workflows, how we can deliver on-premise S3 native object storage for your backup, archive, and analytics workloads.
So the whole point is making things easier, right?
It's easier, cheaper, more efficient, definitely for customers that are, they're looking at moving up the cloud. Like, there's a lot of you are Amazon users, customers today, but not everyone can move all the data into Amazon right away. So what we have is, we have an Amazon in a box for on-prem that customers can use to locally test the applications or run a native S3 applications locally before they move it into the cloud, or they keep it locally for fast performance, or there's some security reasons for it. So Western Digital is not very known for that, right? So I'll talk about how we actually get there and how we are differentiating ourselves versus all the other vendors out there.
All right, very good. Come on in, everybody. The Kumo Theater, Western Digital taking the stage. All right, I need to hear like rock star applause. Are you people ready?
Woo!
Please welcome to the stage.
Give me a 5.
Stefan.
Wow, I like that.
Best
I like
one
that.
all
Thank
day.
You. I hope you'll feel the same after my presentation. All right, so let's start, everyone. So thanks so much for joining me today. We got 15 minutes. I'm going to get straight to the point. Who of you know Who of you know Western Digital? Hands in the air. Come on. Come on. We are everywhere. We're in the cars. We're in your mobile devices, data centers. We're in the cloud. We're very much known as a hardware manufacturer. We manufacture drives. But really, what we're doing here today is we're showing you how we fit into the hybrid workloads. Now, what's changing in the market, all of you, you're at Amazon. Why? Because you're an Amazon customer. You are looking, or you're looking at using Amazon. The reality is data has become more important. Even though we are a storage company, it's all about data. It's all about how you store, how you manage, how you track, and how you protect those assets across on-premise and public cloud solutions. So in our case, Western Digital is very focused on making that life easier for you. So we have anything from SanDisk, because as you know, we own SanDisk now, so flash factories to hard drives. We were actually the original inventor of hard drive. Initially, when IBM started it, they created the first hard drive and eventually sold it off to Western Digital over time. So today, we have more than 80,000 employees. We have a lot of factories across the world. A lot of customers don't know that we actually deliver on-premise S3 native object storage. And so that's what I want to talk about today. If you look at how data is stored across your data center infrastructure, typically you have multiple tiers, right? You move from a flash, which could be block, to a file, could be scale out, could be an isolon, could be a scale out file system, to eventually an on-prem object store or a tape infrastructure. And if you're an advanced user, which most of you probably are because you're here at Amazon, you're actually moving data already in the cloud, or you have compute services running in the cloud today. The reality is that it's very expensive. And so what we're trying to do is flip that pyramid for you. Instead of storing data at very expensive block-based solutions or scale-out file systems, or sticking with your tape environment, we're looking at making it easier for you. And how do we do that? We actually deployed a Amazon on wheels. So it's like an Amazon in a rack, essentially. So it's a native S3 object storage, what we call active scale. So mind you, we are the drive manufacturer. If you look at your cost, your cost of storage, a typical storage system will take 60 to 80% of the cost will come from your drives. So what are we doing here? We're actually consolidating, because most of you are looking at consolidation, right? So a lot of customers are looking at data center consolidation. They're consolidating for cost, for ease of use, for flexibility. They want to have the burst capabilities, and so but still keep control over their assets. So if you look at today, a lot of hedge funds, research institutes, media entertainment companies that you name it have Disney. Take Disney for example. They are very protective of their assets, right? So they don't necessarily want to store everything into Amazon. They want to find the right balance. They want to find the right balance between compute, storage, and the ability to burst that up or down. So what we're providing you is a more efficient, cost-efficient object storage on-prem that fits very well into hybrid workloads. So in a nutshell, we are we're providing a storage system that delivers you flexibility, savings, and scalability. Now, so I want to zoom in on 2 use cases. There's a lot of them, right? We have a lot of ISVs that we integrate it with, but the premise of this is that when you look at where most of your cost is coming from, it's because a lot of customers are generating so much data today, it's extremely expensive to keep expanding the storage infrastructure behind it in the data center. So what we've done is we've created an object store that can scale, that can deliver 50 nines of durability, and that fits really well as a tape replacement. It fits as an archive tier that is active, right? So instead of moving everything into the cloud, you can still keep a copy on-premise. You can actually store it in a deduped format. So if you have, let's say, a dedupe appliance today, you have data domain, or if you have another dedupe appliance, you can actually consolidate that as well into a tier that's an active tier. So a lot of our customers are looking at consolidating, for example, scale-out file servers, data domain appliances, or are digitizing their tape assets. And typically we have the conversation around how can we make it most efficient for you in a hybrid form. So a lot of customers are, for example, storing data for 7 years, like take a financial institution. Now, do they want to store it for 7 years on tape? They already are storing it today for 7 years on tape. The problem is that they want to monetize their assets. They want to monetize it, they want to use it. And so for that, it needs to be active. And for that, it needs to be stored on disk. Now, you can store it in the cloud. That's very efficient. That's very cool, very good technology that is very cost efficient. The reality is, if you need performance, whether it's for a store or it's for analytics, you actually are better off sometimes getting it locally and have it as a local asset or a local pool sitting in your data center. So the second use case is analytics. What we've seen a lot there as well is that in a lot of environments like verticals where there's a massive data growth, take media entertainment, for example, or life sciences, it's typically driven not only from the higher capacity images or the high resolution images or the new technologies that are used at the edge, but it's also driven from a top-down C-level direction to monetize their data. So for example, today what do you see? You're seeing a lot of CDOs, Chief Data Center Officers, Chief Data Officers, and they're focused on how can I preserve my assets and how can I monetize my assets. And so typically it comes with an analytics workload. Some customers are doing AI, machine learning, deep learning on data that's stored currently on tape. So yet again, they're looking at bringing those assets back, digitize them, and run them through a Hadoop cluster, for example, with their new algorithms. So today what we're seeing is we're providing an ideal environment for customers that are looking at deploying S3 native applications. We actually did a survey to 200 customers, and we asked them, how many of your applications are currently S3 native that you're deploying today? Turns out more than 43% of those applications today are S3 native, which means that there's a big wave of new apps that are coming into the data center. And you'll see that not only in this new wave of applications that are being deployed, but you also see that in the legacy applications, right? You talk to an enterprise customer, you got the backup administrator, you got a storage administrator. They're all trying to consolidate. They're all trying to move to a new tier that is either in the cloud, on-prem, or is hybrid. So if you look at a legacy backup environment, for example, where data is stored on tape, offsite, it's extremely tedious to manage your tapes. It's tedious to run your backup appliances. What if we could optimize this? What if you could consolidate that and take advantage of a solution that integrates your backup workflows, that tiers off your data from your scale-out NAS, and stores it in an on-premise object store? Now, the benefit here is that if you have S3 applications, these S3 applications can point directly into an active archive. So an active, if you look at this box here, this active scale system, I mean, I don't have a pointer, so is actually 6 petabytes in capacity. So we are the largest disk manufacturer in the world. We are focused on use cases that grow tremendously, right? So customers that are managing petabytes of capacity. And those types of customers, they're not just consolidating one application. When we talk to a storage admin, and he's like worrying about how he's going to consolidate his VMware infrastructure, his backup workloads, his scale-out NAS filers, and there's this new wave, like I said, of applications that are homegrown. So you have applications that come into the data center that are S3 native, and developers want to test it. They want to test it on-prem because of performance reasons. They want to see how fast can I drive this application, how how reliable can I store data in the cloud or on-prem? If you look at the box here, this solution will provide you 70% savings compared to traditional dedupe appliances. So if you look at today, what do? You typically deploy silos. So there's a new trend happening, right? So in the past, 10 years, 15 years ago, application storage was actually deployed by the application. So the application was actually driving the need for storage and had most of the control over what storage would be implemented. So you would end up with a SAN configuration for your Oracle. You would end up with a distributed file server for your documents, and you would have a separate, maybe an all-flash array for some specific application. Today, customers are looking for this active tier, this scale-out tier that they have with Amazon. So they're looking at Amazon. They have a scale-out. They can scale out to billions of objects. They can scale out to multiple petabytes. And that's exactly what we deliver here too. So in our storage system, we actually can scale up to 50 petabytes in a single namespace. We can scale out to multiple racks. We can tolerate multiple disk node and even data center failures. And we still can do that in a very efficient way. A lot of our customers today are not only looking at replacing on-prem, they're looking at how can I shift and lift everything to the cloud. The reality is, like I was talking yesterday to customers, like, look, I need to move 4 petabytes into the cloud. The reality is, my CIO is telling me, just consolidate everything, move it into the cloud, and that's easy. But the problem is, he's looking at multiple applications with different SLAs. So he wants to do it in a staged way. So what he said to us is like, look, for me, this is a perfect staging phase. So I can use your object store, bring it in, roll it in, connect my applications on-prem, and test the S3 connectivity with my legacy applications, give access to my developers to test their applications locally against an S3 native system, and then slowly tier data off into a public cloud. So naturally, when you start a conversation, there's a lot of applications that you're looking to consolidate. So if you look at our stack, what we've done today is it's a big box. We have actually 2 formats that I'll talk about in a second here, but we've actually went out and certified with as many partners as we can. So if you look at a typical workflow, you have a typical backup workflow is typically driven by Commvault, Veritas, ArcServe, and others. But you also have HSMs that have been moving data into tape environments that can now move data into our object store. And customers can use this and can actually consolidate now from different points and bring it all together in a single pool. Now, when you deploy it, you don't want to deploy all at once. You can deploy in smaller chunk sizes. Western Digital, we have different form factors. We actually deliver the full stack. We support the full stack. We don't make sure that you have the best drives. So there's 2 types of capacities. One on the left, which is our P100, which is an on-prem, all-inclusive, S3 compatible interface. Can scale from 720 terabytes raw up to multiple petabytes, and you can scale that in line. So for example, you start with a 720, you create a namespace, you store data in it, you point your applications to it, you can scale it out over time without having to change the namespace at all, which means that you can start with 720, you add storage, automatically your application will see more capacity. You can distribute the data across multiple geographical locations, and you can tolerate even a full data center failure if you distribute across 3 sites. Our X100 is the bigger deployment. That starts at 6 petabytes raw. Data is fully protected. We support up to 17 nines, which is almost like being hit by an airplane right now as I stand here, which is almost insane. I mean, it's basically insane. It's not going to, So we've created the system in such a way that it's extremely reliable. So you don't have to worry about taking out a drive, replacing a drive. We'll make sure that we send you a message when a drive needs to be replaced. You also need to, you don't have to worry about the analytics portion of that, because we will monitor these systems for you. Even though it's an on-prem solution, we have a cloud tool that does the analytics and can be predictive. So we have predictive analytics in there, so that we'll tell you in advance, day in advance or something, that the drive is about to fail or that we see some inconsistencies. The system is designed for high performance, so primarily large data sets, applications that drive high throughput, whether it's an HSM, whether it's Hadoop implementation. we typically focus on customers that are really managing petabytes of capacity. So I ask you to join us at our booth. We have a booth here at the show. This is our first year that we're here with our object storage system. We've been deploying very successfully at multiple verticals. But in short, we can save you 70% specifically in backup use cases, backup environments. We enable S3 applications with an on-prem object storage native cloud system. And we help you to drive more value out of your data through analytics. So just want to tell you, even as Western Digital, we are a big user of our own product. We eat our own dog food. So we have 16, I think, use cases internally within Western Digital that are using object storage and are using Amazon as well. So what we do internally, we actually we collect all the logs of our drives. We upload it into Amazon. We're doing our analytics in Amazon, but we still store a copy of our data on-premise as our insurance policy. So one of the other reasons that we see a lot of success is because some people use our on-prem object store as an insurance policy for when they ever need to leverage that data locally, or they want to leverage other cloud providers that have other services they want to take advantage of. So next steps, come over, see us at the booth. We have lots of gadgets, and you can win a free drone, but more importantly, have a conversation with us, come talk to us. We can help you move into hybrid workflows. Thank you very much.